Hi, my name's Stuart SLOSS and I'm Commodore of the Perth Dinghy Sailing Club. Our club was formed back in 1903 and was located at the foot of Barrack Street in Perth waters. Back then it conducted racing for 10-footers and 14-footers and was originally named Perth Dinghy Club. In 1944 they commenced a junior section of the club with the introduction of VJs by Jim Vance. After two major fires in 1918 and 1922 and several name changes, the club was relocated to its current location here in Matilda Bay in 1960 after lengthy negotiations with the government of the day to secure a long lease, one which is still held today. Worth noting, the club where we currently stand was built solely by members and volunteers of the day. Today our club currently races up to 80 boats on a weekly basis, mostly Saturdays from October through to April. We have 10 fleets which cater from juniors right through to our most experienced sailors, almost call them seniors. From I-14s, Javelins, Cherubs, Sabres, Wasps, Signets, Herons, through to our juniors in JDs, open skiffs and mudlarks. We have some 300 members who all volunteer in some way, from maintenance of the grounds and facilities, to serving in the bar, shop, to coaching, sitting on committees, assisting juniors, supporting on and off the water activities. The list is endless and is what makes the club function at such a high level so consistently. Our club is well poised to continue into the future due to its very strong structure and succession plan of not only the flag officers but also the management committee. Having had some 50 Commodores to date, we are in a very strong position. We are very fortunate to be well located here in Matilda Bay and enjoying some of the best sailing conditions in the world. We continually run regattas and championships at a professional level, all done and supported by our hard-working volunteers and members. The club is summed up by our Secretary of the Day back in 1922, who was quoted as saying after the second of the fires in the old clubhouse, "Nothing on this earth is going to keep us off the river."
I like going really fast and winning the races.
I really like bringing my friends down to go for a sail.
Most of them like it.
I think maybe a JD or a 14. They look really complicated to sail and I think
They'd go pretty fast.
yeah.
We love sailing at Perth Dinghy.
Kids, I like Liam's style. How about we try that? Getting a few more boats along this season, which is good to see. Numbers are growing. Good to, I guess, give back to the club in terms of they coached me many years ago. So it's good to put back in a little bit and see the kids grow and develop. Yeah, be able to teach kids sailing from scratch is quite rewarding. Hopefully they stick at it, and there's lots of other classes to move through, progress through the clubs, whether it's the skiffs or the few family boats as well. Something I've thought about at some point maybe is moving to like a heron or something, sailing with one of my kids as well. Good chunk of my time's down here on Saturdays. My wife's very good for letting me do it as well.
I think one of the main things with Perth Dinghy is it's such a refreshing take on sailing in general. Once you come through the youth classes, it's quite intense. You get a lot of people pushing really hard and that's fantastic, but I think really refreshing coming out of that, coming to a place like Perth Dinghy where it is a bit more relaxed and everyone's happy just to sort of have a good time on the water. And it provides like a nice pathway for people who get out of the youth classes, not really sure where to go. You give options, you've still got the ability to sail fast boats, but it's in a much more relaxed type of environment.
And you're not rushed out of the fleet as well, you're not aged out. Something that's quite great actually about the CHERUB fleet that is a lot different to some of those youth classes is that we're pretty easygoing. So, I mean, there was an altercation on the water today where two boats coming downwind and I was heading upwind and, you know, somebody probably could have been protested for it and we just don't. We just go, oh, yeah, I'll get you a beer after sailing, sorry.
Yeah.
And that's just, I just love that about, yeah, definitely. And the club as a whole, that's very much what the club's like. It's never, there's never really any headbutting or protesting, and yeah, just great community.
Well, I think the Cherub plays a really crucial role for a lot of people. It depends on your size really as to what you can sail, but there are lots of options. The Cherub is good for people like me who are just a bit too small for 14 and things. It gives everyone a lot of opportunities to sail a fast boat, because that's what I think a lot of the time happens, is people lose the ability to sail something that's really interesting and really fun once they sort of age out of the youth classes. Whereas what I see Perth Dinghy being is a club that allows you to continue sailing skiffs and continue doing fast racing, but perhaps on a little bit less of a serious side.
Sabre class attracts sailors because it's a one-man boat, it rigs in 6 minutes, you don't need a crew, and it caters from anybody, any age up to 90. And we've had many people who have never sailed before or start sailing because they're an easy boat to sail. And they're good camaraderie, and everybody's very friendly at this club. We enjoy each other's company. We loan our boats out to people to sail if they want to sail them, and yes, we get a good response from people.
Born one week and down at the club the next was pretty much how it went. So I guess at one point I was the youngest member. That probably didn't last very long, I wouldn't have thought, but you look forward to spending most of your life down here, and you have so much fun hanging out with your mates down here on a weekly basis. The interesting thing for me, I guess, was I sailed mudlarks here as a junior, and then I went into the junior dinghies. And then there was really nowhere to go other than a 14 or a javelin if you wanted to stay at the club. So I started sailing 14s at 14. And the interesting thing there was my father was always very good in the 14s. And as you progress, you sort of, you want to beat all the top guys and that sort of stuff. And having had a child now, or a young bloke, my young guy Tom, he's progressed to do the same thing. You want to get in and beat the old guys, and of course he now beats me regularly in the Wasp, and which is a really proud thing as a parent. You know, you like to see your kids come through and start to knock you off. And I guess when I started to do that with my old man in the 14s, you know, I probably thought I was a hero. He probably thought, oh well, it's good. I'm just glad that you're actually progressing. You know, so it's a great thing, and it's a great family environment. It's a great place to grow up, and you know, all the young guys that we grew up with, we all still stay in touch. We're all still mates, whether they sail or not here anymore. They still come down regularly and have a drink, and you know, we still hang out. And all of those guys have gone on to have good lives. None of the guys that came through this place ever fell off the rails, you know, so I think it's testament to the place, really. And sailing is bigger than the person. Sailing is all about the club, the establishment, and the enjoyment of everyone involved. So, you know, the boat race is a big part of it. Being successful is a personal thing if you can achieve that. But you've really got to do it in an environment where you're looking after the people around you, you know, and the sport itself. You've got to give back 1% more than you take out. I think you've got to look after the young people. You've got to look after the, you know, you're almost obligated to help coach the young kids, I think, at some point in your life. And whether you've got children of your own, I think you know, you need to give back to the sport that gives so much to you, because at some point in your life, lots of older people would have put time and effort into you. So, you know, you've got to pay that back.
I was a football man, but boy, my father and brothers were all involved in the dinghy club. They talked me in 1961 to come down and have a sail on a 14-footer. And 60 years later, I stopped sailing 14-footers. But in that period of time, we had a lot of fun with camaraderie within the club. Social life was spectacular. Sailing was good all around Australia, representing the dinghy club. But in general, it's just a wonderful time.
12 years of age, I started there. That is over 60 years ago. A great family club. This club has been built by self-help. All these people, all the old people around here did it all. Great family club, and it is still. So it's a great place to be. Say something good.
Sort of, I was pretty much born here. I had pretty good authority that while I was born, Dad was out sailing, and he came and visited me afterwards. So that was kind of the start of it all. But yeah, very lucky, third generation now. Obviously, grandfather had a hand in building the club and yeah, getting it started. His three boys, two of which are here, carried it on, and yeah, now it's up to me to continue.
Great life sailing, great club.
Kerman's family started at the Perth Dinghy Sailing Club in 1970 when we built a Signet, and the kids were all small. Through the Signets, the family all got into sailing. Our eldest was the only one that was too old to get into sailing when we started, but the other six have all sailed, and our youngest is still sailing and sailing the boat we built in 1976.
The club here has brought, speaking personally, lifelong friends. Growing up with kids here, and now seeing their kids grow up, the camaraderie down here at the club is something that is unique to any sporting club, I think.
Absolutely, no doubt about that.
Even the older members of the club who looked after us when we were babies. Everybody here is considered family, and this club really has played a major part of my life, and I could say for most of my family as well.
The great thing about this club is that even though it's a shallow gene pool with only a handful of families that run the club, it's a very welcoming atmosphere. People don't feel excluded. They can be whoever they are, and they'll be welcomed in this club. So many people have spent a lot of time sailing at this club and know how to sail these skiffs really well, and are so prepared to assist others to learn how to sail them, to fix their boats for them, and to get them better at sailing the boats in the class. So it's a supportive environment which, although there's a competitive element, the overarching component is really ongoing participation through multiple generations. The kids started sailing mudlarks here when they were, 6 or 7. Sailing with your kids is a really, really good way to keep your communication channels open with them. if you've got to go and sail with your 8-year-old, the heron races here are ridiculously long. They take a good 2 hours. So you get to hear about all the little things that are going on in their primary school, everything about all of their friends for 4 solid hours by the time you've rigged up, sailed and unrigged the boat. And so it's a really close connection. And so I know now that with my kids, when I have them as young adults, we can talk to each other about anything because we've always had close communication from sailing together.
My first experience with Perth Dinghy Sailing Club was at the old club as a junior. It was good fun in those days. We were all youngsters and we used to party on Friday nights, sail on Saturday afternoons, follow the Hancocks and the others and their bands on Saturday night, sail at Maylands on the Sundays, and then play squash Sunday night, then go to work on Monday. That was the sort of the thing you did. We're blessed with having a lot of very keen young people that are interested in sailing. The sailing over the time I've been involved has changed dramatically. When we were sailing, it was build your own boat. They were all wooden boats, and everybody pitched in and helped each other build a boat. Nowadays, it's buy a plastic boat in a box, put it together, and away you go. It's a change, but it was that continuous involvement and having all the families involved and the amateur status of the club, which we've always held. Everybody pitches in and helps, and that hasn't changed. And it's the reason why I've been here for over 50 years.
We used to sail down the channel where the Main Street jetty is. As we were all learners, you daren't capsize in case the ferry went a bit too close to you. So they're all good memories down there and made good friends, and we're still having those friends today. So I think it's just tremendous. Sailing seems to do that. Once you meet up and all got the same common interest, you just go through life with those friends and do lots of things together. At the moment, my wife and I are on the STUART boat. We enjoy coming down because our whole family is still involved with sailing. My son is an RO, organises the championships. Carolyn's on the rescue boat, which it just makes for a happy day to come down and fill your Saturday in. We have all volunteers. They come out of the woodwork when we ever get a carnival going. It's just tremendous to see.
We used to boast the best looking STUART team on the river compared to what a lot of them get around in. The camaraderie amongst all the members. Busy Bee work, which was on probably nearly every weekend. When I joined, this club wasn't quite finished, and what we see today here is a long way from what we had in the earlier days. A long, long way from that. They're a lot different. It's rather special. Hopefully it'll remain that way for many more years to come. I've made most of my lifelong friends at this club. You can always come down here, and there's going to be a number of your old buddies that some of them are still sailing, but there's always someone that'll welcome you, and I owe this club a lot for the opportunity, and I'll be forever grateful for that.
We've all been president of the ladies committee, and with help from everyone at the yacht club. We ran the canteen and the ladies committees, and it's worked very well.
One of the things I do remember that the ladies committee and all that was we ran a Lamington drive. I don't know whether you ever heard of Lamington drives, and they're not allowed to have them now, but you should have seen the effort down here. They were chocolate coconut and crumbs from one end of the club to the other, and you've never seen anything like it. But it was lovely fun, and we made a lot of money out of it. It was wonderful.
When they first started, when they first built it, they really didn't cater for a canteen. They had this tiny little room that opened straight out onto the lawn, and the kids to get served had to stand on the meter box because that was all that was built on the wall. But we finally convinced them it was worth having a kitchen and a canteen to run. And eventually they gave us a few amenities to make life a bit easier.
Overall, it's been a wonderful experience and I wouldn't change it for the world.
I wouldn't either. It is the most fantastic club and friends.
My husband sails, my son sails, my daughter sailed, my grandson sailed, and I'm hoping that my great-grandsons will sail here. I just love being down here. Everybody is so friendly, and I've made some lovely friends, some lifelong friends since I've been in the dinghy club. I never had any problems running the club. I always had somebody that was willing to help me. I had a very good committee. We all had our portfolios, we all had our jobs to do, and we did them. That's how the club should run. I hope that the young people that are coming through will take on a position as a flag officer, because it is one of the most honourable things that you can do in this club. So I'm hoping that the young generation will pick up the reins and keep the club going as it has been for all these years.
I used to love sitting out on the flag deck and talking to, as I call them, used to call them the old timers, and now I've become one of them, the old timer. But by talking to the old timers out on the front deck, I learnt so much about this club. I used to go down to Fremantle, and you know how they used to change the rails by pulling the big lever to change the rails across? They used to cut the bloody wire off that and use it as side stays for the yachts, and all this sorts of stuff, you know, and sail from the old dinghy club all the way up to Brick Landing. You know, as old Arthur Urquhart said to me once, we used to buy a big crate of beer. They used to be this long. I can remember them, and they had 24 bottles, the big bottles. He said we used to take that up there, and we used to take our Sheilas up there. And I said, what? You took your girlfriends up there? And he said, yeah, wouldn't you do that? I said, yeah. And you think in 1920 they wouldn't have done things like that, you know, but they did. I said, how'd you keep the beer cold? He said, you put the crate in the river. That's the only way to keep it cold, you know. And he said, then we'd go crabbing, walking along with our crabbing scoops. He said, and it'd be a matter of not seeing a crab. You'd say to yourself, no, get a bigger one than that. But he said, they were just, you know, the river was alive. So I run out of time. Everyone's running out of time. So you pass it on to the next person. It's like when you're Commodore and you're standing there making a speech on opening day and you look up there and you think, shit, they're all looking down, I better not make a mistake, you know?
What legacy am I going to leave?
So they're all up there looking at you. For me, to put their stuff in here, their name lives on now, you know, and it goes all the way around the club. All these people, you know, their names live on, and to me that's bloody great.